I have nothing against Dylan McKnight and who he is as an individual necessarily. However, this is from the point of view of a former fan, bigger fan back then. Now, less so. He muddled it up. However, I felt this was just an eye opening experience and interesting situation. You can believe it or not. However, this is a telling of that story, which I did experience. So take it with a grain of salt. You believe it, you can. You don't believe it, you can also not believe it. However, to my knowledge and in my own conscience, and I might be a schizophrenic or something, this did happen. The story begins with me coming in from another state. I was on a big road trip. I am a college student right now, and I just got my first car. So, whoa, uh, yeah, it's kind of a bum ass car, shitbox, but it'll get the job done. I was coming in across state, and I got a lot of friends who hype up Raising Cane's pretty regularly. They say it's like the greatest and hard to live without. And me personally, I tried it one time, did not think it was good. Like at all. It was mediocre. If anything, the chicken strips felt a little too skinny. But regardless, I felt like I would give it a shot, unbiased this time, and go all in. This resulted in me showing up to Raising Cane's at I think it's 10:30 at night, was late, and I go in and I of course get the Caniac combo, 18 fucking bucks. And it was good. I mean, I got the food pretty quickly. Nice little dude. I don't know how to describe him necessarily, but he gave me the Caniac combo. He did have a very uh mustache. But regardless, the food came out pretty quickly, and I went and sat down with my I think it was six tenders and French fries, and I got to eating. I was alone, kind of look like a fat ass, but I was high key mogging with my bachelor ass looking beard and lifeguard sweatshirt. And as I was eating, dipping my sauce, whatever, it was kind of good. I'll say the sauce carried a lot of it. Those wings were bland as shit. Low key, this video is gonna end up being like kind of a review of Raising Cane's, while at the same time talking about what I ended up seeing. But as I was eating my high key mediocre wings, I'm listening to the people around me, and I keep looking. I hear some teens repping some low tier Riz, and some girls just being, how should I put it? Um, like a small dog, how that thing will like bark, like, like annoyingly. That's how those girls sounded. Anyways, I'm actually a nice guy in real life. I'm not that judgmental, I promise. But my eyes fall on the corner of the room, and over there, I noticed just two bros chilling, eating, I think Raising Canes. I would assume. I don't know. And I I I like the gym a little bit. I'm not gay or anything. Cut that out. I don't swing that way. However, I was looking and I noticed a guy with kind of like a frame of like a, it's not necessarily jacked, pretty diced, pretty cut. Not really, really big. I want to emphasize that. He wasn't super big. And as I'm looking around, I like to think, look at people's physiques. Maybe I am up. I swear I'm not. But regardless, I noticed some pretty defined traps, And sorry, somebody just whore. Anyways, coming back in. I'm sitting there looking at this dude, kind of has a physique. Traps are a little too big for my taste. I like him to be more minimal on myself. Not like that. And he stretches out, kind of does like a T pose. And I noticed like so honestly smaller triceps, but he looks like he could be packing some sort of physique. Regardless, it didn't stay in my mind. I went back to eating my chicken tenders. And as I'm eating them, I'm sitting there kind of bored again. And I look up again and I see them getting up to get out. And I notice this freaking the how do I say it? The fit was literally Dylan McKnight's. I don't know how else to talk about it. I used to be like a pretty big fan, I guess. I wouldn't say fan. I found him inspirational a little bit. And as I'm looking, it's like this like tight, thinner shirt and like black. And he's wearing jeans. Jeans that are a little too tight, for the current trends right now. And I was like, in my head, I was like, dude, that's like kind of like what Dylan McKnight would wear. And it kind of looks like his physique. Kind of like tighter shoulders, not super broad. And again, I'm no professional about physiques, but that's what I was picking up. And he gets up and he turns and he's got this goofy ass middle part. I know some people think his hair is weird. I won't say it's a little weird. But regardless, I look and I see and the face kind of looks like it, and I'm like, okay, maybe this could be the guy. But I think I'm gonna let this opportunity pass. Honestly, I was just kind of like not there with it. So I'm sitting there, and he starts to walk, carrying Raising Canes. I'm sitting in my brain, and I'm like, oh, he's a bodybuilder or something. He doesn't like eat Raising Canes. It's like fat ass people food. I'm feeling like a fat ass. I don't typically eat this. I'm on a bulk, guys. I trust. Um, but I will myself. I guess I was kind of like I need to figure this out because if I don't, then I'm just gonna sit here going, "Oh, I saw a ghost." Mama, I'm chasing a ghost. I don't know who it is. And I ditch my food, my entire combo drink. I leave it, and I go out the other door of the Raising Canes. There's two. Imagine it's like a triangle, not a square. It's a square. I'm going out one corner, and he's going out the other one right then. And I'm going, and I kind of speed run around. I'm like, look, yeah, I'm creepy as shit. And I go and I open the door for him, and I watch as he walks by. He did say thank you, guys. As big of a dick as he might be, he did say thank you. I open the door, he walks out, and I'm kind of sitting there like, okay, that low key looked a lot like, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it's, I don't know, I'm not sure, you know, I don't even know where this dude is from, you know what I'm saying? But he's going, and I look over, and him and his buddy are headed towards a nicer looking car, a Mustang. I don't know where that stacks up. I'm no car dude. My boy Bearded Wang is into cars and stuff. But they get in this car, and I'm sure this definitely could be the dude. I go back inside, I sit down, and I was kind of just tripping for a moment. In my brain, I was like, that could have been the dude, you know? But I'm not 100% sure, and I keep on thinking about it. And eventually, I called up my friends, and I was like, yo, like, hi, Key. I think I saw Dylan McKnight at the Raising Canes. Ra- is it Raisin or Raising? I don't honestly know. Doesn't matter. Unimportant. Not important at all. And I end up leaving. I end up driving away. Kind of just tripping because if it was him, like it's weird for me just because I used to look up to this guy like a lot. Now I kind of think he's a little more on the scummier side. Not I'm not dogging. I'm not dogging right now. I can understand why people are mad at what he did, you know? I don't know if he's still sponsored by Gorilla Mind and stuff, but as you can tell, I was like a follower for a bit. I did find him inspirational. Eventually, I get home and I call my friends and I tell them, and nobody seems to care, which is super chill. I'm literally, chances are a lot of you guys are not gonna care. However, I tell my friends, and nobody's really giving a crap, and I'm not understanding for myself why I cared so much. I guess if that sounds weird, maybe it doesn't, but I realized that I was kinda, and I did do a little bit more research. I went, scrolled through his YouTube real quick. Yeah, it's him. I looked at his profile pic. By the way, this dude that I saw, he was like 5'7", 5'6". I'm not actually making this up. He was really short. And I kind of expected the dude to be more like 5'11", 6 foot. You see him in all the his videos, and he's like super big and hulking, I guess. But no, he was like 5'6", 5'7". I'm taller than the guy, or we might just be the same height. I might be compensating, not 100% sure. But I'm kind of sitting there, and it kept on playing through my head that just happened. That I had just seen somebody that I had looked up to, idolized for a long, for my teen years. I as well had what some would call a fitness journey. And it started to hit why it kind of bothered me that I saw Dylan and McKnight at Raising Cane's. And it was because I was unimpressed. I didn't see what I had expected. And it kind of led me to this notion of reality. When I say reality, I'm talking about like reality, being there in person for real. And it brought me to a few different conclusions, honestly. One was, and this was kind of, I swear I'd heard it before, but like seeing your heroes, it's never gonna shape up to what you anticipated, honestly. And that's how I felt. I felt more grounded in that moment, comparing myself in my brain to him than I'd ever felt before. I think it's interesting in a social media age, media screens. We get so used to seeing someone through a screen. Everything they choose to portray, angles, lighting, editing, so much of it is fashioned or manufactured by that individual. They get to choose what you see. And that's where I kind of came to having an issue. Not an issue, but a realization was I kind of thought of him as that person instead of somebody who's normal, who eats, sleeps, walks, and interacts with the world more like I do and more like you do than we might think. The only difference happens to be they found their way into the spotlight through what we call virality. I started to feel at the same time I did start to feel a sense of grace that like towards myself. I had expected something else, and I found him to not necessarily be hulkingly massive. His physique did not demand attention where he stood. Like I'll be honest, in some of the videos, he kind of portrays it that way, and I'll put up a slow motion thing he'd made at one point. And on top of that, I felt I wasn't as far from the unachievable as I had previously thought. I am not saying I have a physique like his. I'm not saying I have one like any influencer that you're thinking of right now. But I did sit there and go, he isn't as substantially massive as I was thinking originally. And alongside that, some would say it's obvious. However, seeing him in person, I saw so quickly how heavily edited each and every single one of his photos are. And in all honesty, before I saw his face, I thought to myself, his tricep looked a little weak compared to the rest of his physique. And that was just strange because I'm not used to that, and I'm not used to thinking about these individuals that, you could think they've made it, their success is something else that you don't have. And it was weird. Just surreal almost. Not 100% sure if I used that grammar right, but it wasn't as out of touch as I thought. It was a lot more realistic, and I saw so quickly how edited everything his is. I went and did a little like short review, I guess revisited his entire site. I would see like these photos of him and or even him in the videos always like hunched over to the side and kind of like doing like a funny face, and it's stuff that I hadn't necessarily noticed before, and this was through the eyes of like, you know somebody who thought he was like an idol. And it just kept going even deeper, just seeing how his videos were edited. I'll be honest, some of them look like really weird, and it kind of grosses me out sometimes, but it's just so much of it is fabricated, so much of it is fake, so much of it is bright lights and saturation and colors, just the exposure being upped every time. And that was a realization, and it I'm glad it happened, but at the same time it is strange because I don't like that part of the I guess the social media. Social media can be a great way, I guess, for us to talk to each other and stuff, but it can become a shit show so fast. And then, uh, I guess it makes me make sense why some people have so many issues in regards to their body dysmorphia, criticism. We're constantly, I saw something about like looking at like eights, nines, tens, and we think of ourselves as more like fives, sixes, and then we'll see the really ugly and then the really pretty. But the middle being mid, that's no longer, I guess, even viable because you don't see it. And yeah, that was, I guess, me seeing Dylan McKnight at Raising Cane's. Oh, by the way, the car was a Mustang. I went and saw it. He did a freaking video with his mom. He bought his mom like a Lambo. Wow. Oh my goodness. And he also got a Mustang, and it's like black. And the one that I saw, it was just more modded. It had like a spoiler. I don't know. I don't know exactly what spoiler does. Maybe it keeps your car on the ground when it's going super fast. But yeah, that was just kind of my experience with that. And I don't know, like, I guess if you guys do see this video, have you guys seen these people that you idolized in real life and felt a level of disappointment? Because if so, I'd love to hear about it. Like, I think it's an interesting phenomenon, I guess. And like, I'm not trying to go out there and say everybody's fake, but it was really weird to see and eye-opening at the same time. And honestly, just probably makes me more cynical about everything I see. But yeah, if you guys have those stories, drop them down below in those comments. If you like the video, like it. I am not used to doing this sort of thing. I finally, I think, figured out my microphone. We'll see if we can continue to um improve its quality. And yeah, I think Metroid gameplay will be in, so hopefully that's interesting enough and not super boring, not too unrelated. I'll put Actually, guys, this is as I am editing the video. I just saw that he put up a day ago a video about him quitting. So, yeah, new development, whatever. I don't know if he's actually gonna quit. I don't know. Fuck. But yeah, smash like, subscribe. I will hopefully do more videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.